Good morning. My name's Philippa Burke and I'm the Library's Research Impact Specialist. Today I'm going to talk to you about read and publish agreements, where they sit in the open access landscape, how to use them and what to be aware of. I'm also going to show you our new Agreement Navigator and share some options for when you need help. So let's get started. In 2026, the University of Sydney has agreements with 31 publishers that allow our researchers to publish their work open access immediately in over 13,000 journals. Over time, it's become more common for journals to levy an article processing charge, or an APC, for authors to have their work made openly accessible on publication. The aim of the read and publish agreements is to reduce the burden of these costs on researchers. Researchers publishing in eligible journals can have an article's open access APC waived as long as they meet certain requirements. These agreements are negotiated with publishers, but not all of a publisher's content is included under these agreements. Many journals are excluded, and some journals only offer a discount on the article processing charge. The agreements are negotiated in one of two ways. Many of our agreements are negotiated by the Council of Australasian University Librarians, also known as CAUL, for the Australia and New Zealand university sector. The remainder have been negotiated directly with publishers by the University Library. The term read and publish highlights that these agreements are a negotiation with the publisher to wrap some or all of the cost of an open access publishing charge into the existing library subscriptions. To put this in context, traditionally an article is published in a journal that can only be accessed or read by people or organisations that subscribe to the journal. This is also referred to as paywall or closed access. A pathway to making this content openly available has been to lodge a complying version of the article in a repository such as the Sydney eScholarship repository under an embargo. Once the embargo expires, the article is freely available via green or green open access. For an article to be openly accessible immediately on publication, many journals require payment of an article processing charge or APC. This is what we refer to as gold open access, and this pathway is available in fully open access or gold journals or in hybrid journals, which offer researchers the option of publishing closed access at little or no cost, or paying an APC to make the article open access on publication. It's this pathway that read and publish agreements are a supplement to. There are really good reasons to make your research open access. It increases the visibility and access of your research. Open access articles have also been shown to attract more citations in some research. Open access is also an increasing requirement in grant funding. But even without read and publish agreements, publishing open access is an important part of sharing research. To access the university's read and publish agreements, authors must meet the following requirements. They need to be the corresponding author, and they need to use their @sydney.edu.au or @uni.sydney.edu.au email address in their submission and in their correspondence. They must also list the University of Sydney as their primary affiliation on the paper. If you ensure compliance with these requirements, that should make the process of publishing through a read and publish agreement much more smooth. And these are the first three questions that we will ask when we're contacted about issues using the agreements. So the agreements work as part of the article acceptance process, and the APC waivers are applied within the publisher portal of the eligible journal. Each publisher has specific processes that need to be followed for an article to be lodged under the agreement. But you should never receive an invoice for a read and publish article, and the library does not pay APCs to individual journals. It should be noted that waivers can only be applied on acceptance of an article, and it's important to be aware of this, as some articles can take a long time to reach acceptance, and the agreement may have changed or ended in the meantime. So in practice, this is how the process should look for a researcher. The researcher should identify a suitable journal as a first step. then they should check whether that journal is included under any of our read and publish agreements that are currently active. When the agreement, they should be affiliating with the University of Sydney and using an official University of Sydney email address. When the article reaches the acceptance stage, they need to follow the instructions in the publisher portal. And then in most cases, the publisher will ask to choose a Creative Commons license, which you choose and you apply. And once you've done that, everything is compliant. The fee waiver is automatically applied if the publisher is included in the agreement and can see that you're eligible. And that makes your article fully published. So the agreements offer some great benefits to researchers. They reduce the open access publishing costs and they're easy to access, but they do have limitations and there are things that you as a researcher need to be aware of. Not all journal titles are included in these agreements. Some journals are excluded entirely and some only offer a discount on the APC. It's up to you to check on this before you submit your article. And while they have reduced over the years, some agreements still have a cap on the number of articles that can be published under them. And not all article types may be included under these agreements. And the article types accepted, of course, vary between publisher agreements. Some publishers may also apply other charges in addition to the APC, and these can include page charges or colour imaging charges. These charges would not be covered under the read and publish agreements. And finally, that the agreements are negotiated for specific lengths of time and could end before your article is accepted for publication. And as APC waivers are applied on acceptance, not submission of an article, it's very possible that an agreement could end and a waiver under the read and publish agreement no longer be available. And of course, the other item is that a researcher's preferred journal may not be included under any of these agreements. So we'd like everyone to remember that inclusion of a journal in these agreements should also not be taken as a mark of approval. Researchers are still expected to undertake their own due diligence on the suitability of a journal for their outputs and be aware of other possible limitations as listed. So one of the challenges that's been faced by researchers in previous years has been interpreting the information available to establish if a journal is covered under an agreement. This year, the research services team in the library has worked to implement a new tool to help navigate the agreements. The Sydney Publishing Agreement Navigator, or SPAN, is a tool that consolidates all of the university's read and publish agreements in one place and provides comprehensive information on all journals under these agreements. It's fully searchable by journal title, publisher, and subject area. But again, we'd like to emphasise that it's been designed as an agreement navigator, not for choosing appropriate journals. When selecting journals to publish in, we recommend including other resources and channels to identify suitable journals for your research. So now I'll demonstrate the Agreement Navigator for everyone. So this is the first page that you will see when you come in, and you can search for a journal here. So if we search for the Journal of Endocrinology, now I just searched everything, but I could search for it simply as a journal. I've got the option here to search by journal name, publisher name, or subject area. You can see here, this is the Journal of Endocrinology that we're looking for. We have a summary of the agreement here. We know that this is a covered journal, receives 100% fee waiver. It's a hybrid journal, and it's not part of a capped agreement. If I click here, it will give me more details about the journal itself. So I've got the agreement description here and a link out to a more detailed description. Instructions for the author on submission. And over on the right, we've got the summary agreement information again. The most important thing to note here is the question about additional charges, which were the page charges and colour charges, as some examples that we talked about previously. To the best of our knowledge, they're not charged by this publisher, but it's always good to confirm that with the publisher of your journal. There's also a link to the homepage of the journal to make sure that you're looking at the right one and all that information. I can now return to the search results, and if we have a different search, looking for by journal, the journal Computers and Education, and see I've got several results. I've got Computers and Education, the main journal, which is fully covered under these agreements. I've also got Computers and Education Artificial Intelligence, which only has a 15% coverage. So the APC on that receives a 15% discount only. And you can see the difference here is this is a hybrid journal, whereas this is a fully open access journal. And the agreement with the publisher, Elsevier, is that in a fully open access journal almost always only receives a discount. So if we go in here, we can see more information in the agreement description, saying which article types are accepted, the author instructions, and over on the right, those same information screens. We go back to our search results, and instead we're not looking for a journal name, we want to look for a publisher. We can search for Wiley. And we'll see here that we've got all of the journals published by the publisher Wiley. And you can see we have, this is a journal that receives a full APC. It's a fully open access journal though, so it's part of a capped agreement under the Wiley agreement. The next journal under here, Monographs of the Society for Research in Child Development, also has 100% APC coverage, but it's a hybrid journal, and the agreement with hybrid journals is that that agreement is not capped. So there are limited availability on the Cancer Journal for Clinicians. The monographs below is uncapped. Now, if I do one more search here, and I search, I shall search journal name, and I search for Nature Communications, there is no journal, and that's because Nature Communications is not covered under our agreement. So it's not part of this tool. This tool is a navigator, as I've said. But if I put in Nature, we can see that Nature Medicine is covered. If you do find that you have fallen outside of the read and publish agreements, the library doesn't have access to a fund to pay individual APCs. That's not how these agreements are set up, but there may be other pathways available. If you publish in a hybrid journal, those journals may allow you to make a version of your work available through an institutional repository, often with an embargo applied. So you need to check your publisher agreement and then submit the appropriate version to Sydney eScholarship or a similar repository. If this isn't available, you can always continue with that publication behind a paywall and just publish closed access. With a fully open access journal, the repository pathway is not available, but some faculties and schools do have funds available for open access publishing. And aside from this, we do encourage people to set aside or allow for funds in their grant applications to cover OA publishing where possible. And we realise that not all grants allow this, but it's a great backup option if something is not covered or falls outside the agreements for whatever reason. So we always recommend that people have a backup plan simply because changes happen and you need to be prepared for them. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions on any of these matters, please get in touch with us in the research services queue, and we will be only too happy to answer. Thank you very much for your time.